Hello there, students. Welcome to a new video for Intro to Spreadsheets. This is going to be one of our last videos of this particular course, most likely, unless you're taking this course in a year where I've decided to change this information around a little bit. In this video, we're going to take a quick look at sorting information. Now, there's a lot of different ways to sort information in a spreadsheet, and there are a lot of reasons why you may want to sort information in a spreadsheet. And I'm just going to go through a quick example. There's different methods that you can follow in different spreadsheets. I'm actually going to work here with Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel just to show you the variety. But most of them have some common sorting methods, and that's really what I want to focus on. Now, here I have a spreadsheet loaded up, which, as you can see, says new car sales, and it has some salesmen and some sales for January, February, March, and then we also have total sales as well. Sometimes the information that we have is sorted automatically as we enter it, but over time, as we add more and more information to a spreadsheet, we may find that we want to sort things differently. For example, in this particular spreadsheet, there's really no order to things other than the fact that we have January 1st and then February and then March. That's one particular order. But if you take a look at the salesmen, they're not really in any kind of order. Even if you look at their sales, it doesn't seem like we actually have a consistent order here. And you know, it may look like the total sales are actually increasing, but you'll notice here that, you know, it kind of jumps back and forth as you move down the column. So what might be beneficial to us is to actually sort this by salesman, or maybe we were doing a report based on the sales of January and we wanted to actually sort the information by the January sales. There's a lot of different options that we have at our disposal. Now, I'm working here in Google Sheets, and I'll be in Microsoft Excel in just a minute. But if we come up here to data, you'll notice that we have some sorting options. And the first one here is sort sheet by column C, A through Z, sort sheet by column C, Z through A. So this is basically picking up the fact that I'm in column C. You'll notice my active cell is in column C. And then it's asking me, do I want to sort the column or sort the sheet by column C? And then that would be A to Z, that would be ascending order. I could also choose I'm going to say that a lot, sort the sheet by column C from Z to A, which is descending order. So I don't really have characters here, but I have values, numbers, so this is really going to be numerical order in ascending order or descending order. Now if I select these, you're going to notice that it really kind of flips my spreadsheet on its head, and that's not really the desired effect that I was looking for. That type of sorting is really not beneficial to us in this particular case. So what I like to typically always do is use the other option, which is sort range, and I'm going to show you how that works. Alright, now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to choose to, let's sort these February data figures, and so I'm going to go to here, and then it's going to bring up this option here. Now notice it says sort the range from C3 to C12 because that's exactly what I selected. Now I have a couple options here. It says sort by column C in ascending or descending order. Now if I just click sort here, you're going to notice that I get an effect that I didn't really want. The February kind of moved down here, and then although these values were sorted in ascending order, they're not really in the right place. So let me undo that again. Let's go back, and if I hit sort range, notice there's this checkbox here that says data has header row. Well, if you notice, I selected February as well in my selection. February would be considered the header row, and if I check that box, you'll notice that the spreadsheet picks up on that, and it's asking me, do I want to sort by February? And it's basically picking that up as my data row. And I say, yes, that's the way I want to sort it, but let's watch carefully what happens. If you take a look closely, you'll see all of these sales figures were sorted. The problem is they're now in the wrong position. All right, let me undo that for example, take a look at 0. 0 was actually for the salesman Washington, but when I sorted it, it ended up being here at the top for the first salesman. That's not exactly what we wanted to do, but that's exactly what I instructed the spreadsheet to do. I instructed it to sort those values based on ascending order. And so the thing I want to point out to you here is that you have to be very careful about how you are sorting things. If that's all I cared about was just sorting the February sales figures, then I accomplished my task. But really in a situation like this, and I would say this situation is more common than not, you have a lot of data associated with other things in other columns, and you want all of it to sort together. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to select all of the information. I'm going to go back up here to sort range, and now I'm also going to check data has header row. So now I can see my actual rows, okay? And then this time let's choose February again, and then I'm going to choose ascending order, and then if I click sort, you'll now notice that the header row stayed exactly where it was supposed to be. And now, although February is now sorted, the salesman and the other figures also followed that sorting. So Washington, even though it was down here before, because I had this whole range selected, it's also going to be sorted because it had to follow the 0. Likewise, the other sales figures as well. So January was 82,000 plus and March was 34,000 plus. If I undo those changes, you'll see that those were the same exact values for Washington. Okay. Now I could sort it on a different row if I wanted to, or a different column. Let's say I wanted to sort it by salesman, and I could sort it in ascending or descending order. I could do that, and see now we have this list assorted in alphabetical order, and the values are following all of my salesmen. If I undo that, I'm going to show you one more sorting option that you have. In addition to actually sorting based on one column, you can actually you can choose one column first and then sort by another column. I do this often when I'm dealing with a spreadsheet with individuals' names, and often what I'll try to do is sort first by the last name column, but then I also want to sort by the first name column. And then maybe sometimes I sort again based on a third column, maybe a grade level or something of that nature. So we can add other criteria that the sort is based on. So let's say I wanted to sort it by salesman first, and then let's say March was the most recent month, and then I want to sort it based on March. And I actually want to do ascending order again. Now I may not have any reason to add that second column here because I don't necessarily have a conflict. Basically what that would do is if there were two salesmen with the same name, then what would happen is we would first alphabetize the names, and then to know which of those two common names needed to go first, then we'd look at March. Alright, so let's actually try that. I'm going to undo these changes, and let's say in addition to, let's change this person's name from Washington to Sun. So now we have two Suns. So if I have to sort that now, and I'm going to do it based on the salesman, Sun, I'm going to have two of them. They're going to be in the same spot. So in order to tell the spreadsheet which one of those should come first now I'm going to use the next column. So let's say we'll have the Sun or the next person that has the highest March sales go next. And we'll see here as it sorts, the two Suns are right next to each other. But as we look across, we'll see that the March sales for this particular individual were less than this, and since I sorted it in ascending order, they came first. Okay, so that's the basics of sorting. Now let's flip over to Excel, and I have the same situation here, and I just want to give you a little bit of a look at this in Excel because the look is slightly different. And again, even if you have Excel, I don't know what version of Excel you are dealing with. So things might look a little bit different. So I just want to go ahead and show you here under data I have this option of A to Z, Z to A. That's going to be a quick sorting. Excel's a little smarter. It's got a little bit more under the hood than Google Sheets, so it's going to probably give me some other options. It's basically telling me that it found data next to it, and it's kind of warning me, do you really want to just sort it based on this, or do you want to expand the selection? Let's just say I want to continue with the current selection, and I click sort. See here I get exactly what I had the first time in the other spreadsheet where February is sorted, but it didn't follow with the other values. So Excel was a little bit smarter. If I chose to expand the selection, then it's going to pick up on the fact that, hey, there's other things there. Let's sort all of those things along with it. And so we can see that change as well. But what I could do is I could just click this sort button, and then I get pretty much the same options I had in the other spreadsheet, where I can add criteria for my sort, and I can even add levels and a lot of variety. But again, I'm just going to keep it simple. So I'm going to sort by. Notice I didn't select my header rows here, so this checkbox here is automatically checked. My data has headers, so it's going to pick up on these headers. If I uncheck that, then it's just going to say column A, column B, column C, and D and E. So I'm choosing to have the headers because I like to be able to pick it by this actual title instead of column A, column B, whatever. So I pick column or salesman, and I can sort it on the values, and then I can do from A to Z or Z to A. There's a lot of varieties here. You can actually see here, you can sort on different types of things. We're not going to go into that. You could play around with that if you wish. But when I click OK, you'll notice all my values are definitely sorted. So I'm going to undo those changes again. I'm going to go back here. Let me cancel this. Let's change Washington to Sun again so we can demonstrate how this works in Excel. I like how Excel just picks up on the fact that I have some data headers. That's a really nice feature. So let's sort on the salesman this time. Let's go from Z to A. We'll do it in descending order. But then we want to add a second level. So after it sorts the salesman based on their name, let's add another level, and then let's sort it by, let's say, January sales this time. And we want, let's say, largest to smallest. All right, so if there's two salesmen that have the same name, then they're going to be put together, but they're going to be sorted based then by January sales from largest to smallest. So whoever has the largest will be first, and whoever's the smallest will be second. So if we take a look over here, we can see the Sun in row 6 has sales of 82,000, and the Sun in row 5 has sales of 45,000. So this particular Sun should pop up first. Let's see. Good. So we have our salesmen sorted in descending order, and now we have these two Suns together as we predicted, and the one that had a greater January sale is now on top of this one, which had less sales. And obviously we could go back and change that particular sorting if we wanted to, but this gives you a nice overview of how to sort information. Now the one thing I want to point out to you, and we're not going to cover this because these things definitely vary from spreadsheet to spreadsheet, but there's this idea of what is called a pivot table, and it's a little bit more of an advanced spreadsheet topic, and we're not going to go over it primarily because it requires a lot of understanding of what a pivot table is in general, but it's a very powerful tool presented to you by a lot of spreadsheets. But the behavior for pivot tables between the spreadsheets is so different that I really don't want to cover it with all of you. But if you're ever thinking about working with spreadsheets in the future, that might be a concept that you want to look into, because in this particular case, when we have what is called a data table, we have a table of values with different columns, and you can do sorting based on different columns. A pivot table is a really great tool to be able to manipulate the information, get reports based on the information, do some sorting based on the information in there. So I leave that to you to work on in your own time if you are interested. All right, so that's a little bit about sorting.